Hello everybody. I've gone to plaid. No, actually I've got a little video kind of prepped here for you guys today. What we're going to talk about today, and I'm not going to put myself on camera because basically guys I feel like a burnt piece of toast. No wildlife or nothing like that. I woke up this morning with kind of a head cold and not looking and sounding my best, but I felt like I needed to utilize my time a little bit. I had some extra time this morning. All the chores are done. I wanted to do a good video for you guys, or at least an interesting video. I want to talk about movie soundtracks. You know, if you've been watching my recent videos, you know I've been trying to collect a few soundtracks here and there of movie soundtracks that I can A, listen to anytime, and B, just from the movies that I like. I started noticing during my music revolution as of recent, I've got quite a few in my collection that I just had either forgotten about or just wanted to talk about. And I said, let's just put them all together on the bed here today, just kind of do an all-purpose video from all the different formats that I still own or that have survived over the years, or really just the ones that might have a little interesting story behind them. They may not, I don't know. It's not going to be earth-shattering, but you guys, this is all done in an effort to stoke the fire, if you will. See if anybody else wants to do a video and show off their soundtracks. And I'm quite sure there's a few especially the older ones here that have survived that you guys may laugh at me for. There's probably a handful that I didn't put in this video from in the vault back there, but really just those were bought on a whim, and I only liked one song on there. They were the fad at the time, and really not the hardcore collection that's going to live on in the cave, so left those out. Let's do the vinyl first, guys. I got some 45s here. Bronco Billy soundtrack. Merle Haggard did a song called Misery and Gin. It's kind of, there again, one of those that everybody's probably going to laugh at me for, but it's, let's see what's on the B side of this one, guys. I'm unsure. I do like these tracks. I even like Bronco Billy. It's not one of the best. I realize not one of the best. Yeah, this one is no one to sing for but the band. That's the B side on that. Not the best Clint Eastwood's canon, but just a movie I enjoy watching when there's nothing else on and it's just kind of hokey fun. I don't know. Bronco Billy, yeah, I know it. Got a 45 record of Risky Business track here. Bob Seger, Silver Bullet Band, old time rock and roll. What else can you say? I mean, yeah, look, there you go, 80s. You got the Cruise Master there, kind of dancing in his underwear after the parents have left town. I'm not going to go into great detail on that. Everybody knows that one. Here's one from a staple from my childhood. Dukes of Hazzard. Waylon Jennings, of course. This is I think the original pressing of it, of the title tune from the TV show. TV show title tune, if you watch the opening credits, the show has been tweaked a little bit here and there. It sounds different. This is kind of the rougher, just kind of full verses, full-length version of it that was kind of popularized back during that time frame. But it's a little rough sounding, but it still plays. Found that at a Goodwill store not too long ago for 50 cents. Stand By Me, one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations, and Rob Reiner joints from back in the day. Staple of my childhood as well. Anytime I want to return to being a boy, as I've always said. This is the full-length tracks that are on the full-length LP, but this is just Stand By Me, and I think Yakety Yak is on the B side of this one, so yeah. Pretty good little one. Another one, Goodwill find. Urban Cowboy. Yeah, like I said, not really my favorite movie or anything, but I do like the track from this movie, Johnny Lee, Looking for Love. What's interesting, a good little conversation piece on this, is if you go back on YouTube and watch any type of later documentary that was made, I think there's actually a documentary on Netflix I saw not too long ago about the closing of Gillies bar that was made famous by this movie. It was like the benefit and the curse kind of thing, where like Johnny Lee's career was skyrocketed after that movie and this track came out. But to its curse, after that and all the falling out with Gillies, it kind of killed his career too. So yeah, not a big country western fan, hardcore, but living in the South, I mean, you're going to have some kind of you're going to have some kind of connection with some of these tunes. I do like that tune. Okay, here we go. We got to get serious now. TV show from back in the day. Now, who doesn't know Miami Vice, guys? You've got to, I mean, hey, I've talked about this one probably enough in subsequent video or past videos. This was in really good shape. I found this for $1 at a thrift store and had to pick it up. It's got all these cool tunes. Of course, Phil Collins made a good tune on that one. Kind of made the TV show famous in and of itself. Stills from the show. It was kind of like a new movie every week because this was an expensive but yet really well made TV show back in its day. Michael Mann produced show and so forth. I think I've even still got the this is the soundtrack cassette that I had back in the day. This is the one that followed me around and survived. Still plays good too. But yeah, got to have some Miami Vice. They actually came out, I think, with a volume 2 and 3 of this. When they had later seasons, they came out with more music from the 80s or whatever. But it is the 80s. When you think the 80s, you think Goonies, you think Stand By Me, you think Miami Vice. I'm sorry, it's just there with all of its pastel and neon glory. But even before then, in the 70s, you had stuff like this. There again, people are going to laugh, but I like the music in this film. I'm sorry, I do. Primarily, they always promote the B.Jr'S on the cover here, but if you flip it over, there's a lot of other artists who are on here. Yvonne Elliman and Tavares, I think's how you say it. You know, there's other Kool and Gangs on there. There's other artists on this. It's just B.Jr'S kind of went through the stratosphere with their high-pitched, nerve-inducing, I guess you would call it. This is a gatefold. I'll open it up. Got some stills from the movie there. This is why I love to find some cheap LPs. If they're in good shape, man, I'll pick them up. I'm talking like dollar prices, guys. I'm not going to pay. I have paid that recently, and I don't know. I made a good decision, but I paid over $20 for a record recently. We're going to get to in a minute, but I don't think I'll be doing that much anymore. But they're fun to pick up if you can find them in good shape. This one plays like a dream. The jacket's in a little rough shape, but got it for $1. Next one up, we got Chariots of Fire soundtrack by Vangelis, who's, I believe, a German composer. I could be totally wrong on that. Don't shoot me if I am. But I do like their scores, or Vangelis' scores, from back in the 80s time frame. They did of course, probably the one they're most known for, and I don't have it in my collection, is Blade Runner. I want to understand plenty of different versions of that movie and the soundtrack to boot, so check it out to boot, or if you want to. But I do like a lot of their cues from this movie. I don't really like the movie, but I do like the music. How can you not like good old Bill Conti, Rocky? Found this for $1. It's just, it sounds a little rough, but it does play, no needle jumps, and this is an original pressing. All the black and white stills. Picked this up in the last month or two from a thrift store. Really enjoy it. This is a standalone. You could, even if you don't like the movie, you could probably listen to this music and find inspiration. I mean, that's no joke. I enjoy that soundtrack pretty well. This is the one I was talking about. I paid a little over $20 for last month, and I don't know. I'm not going to go all out buying a lot of vinyl and stuff, but this is probably my most favorite vinyl that I own. I jumped at the chance, and oh yeah, listen how new that is. Yeah. Yum, yum, yum. Zombie goodness there. But yeah, I'm glad I bought it. I'm not saying I did something wrong, but what I'm finding out, I can get the CD and be happy. But this is a Waxwork Records release, 2-record release. I've done a video on it. I'm not going to go into great detail, but it is the full soundtrack, all 37 tracks of the soundtrack from George Romero's Day of the Dead. Very excellent. But now, if you're a vinyl hound, this is probably the one to go for now. Because it's got everything on it and it sounds great. Not saying I made a mistake, but it's just, yeah, money wise, I'm just gonna say it that way. You're gonna spend some money if you're gonna buy those. Sneeze time. Nothing but the best editing on B.Jr'S Movie Cave there, sorry. We've covered Miami Vice. Let's go through some tapes here. This is an interesting one. Is this a soundtrack or isn't it? We don't know. This is Kiss Music from the Elder. It's promoted as though it was a soundtrack for a movie that was never made. This has some lore behind it. I, used to be a big Kiss. I still am big Kiss Army. I'm not a Kiss Army member, card carrying member or anything, but I'm a big Kiss fan from way back. It was promoted as though it was a soundtrack from a movie that was never made. Now, there's been some contention over the years that this movie was not really in production at all. Then you got some diehards out there that say, yes, this was very much a scripted movie and everything, but then it fell through. But Kiss had already made the album, and there it is. That's why it's kind of weird and standalone. It's not their typical thing. At first, I always was in that camp where I was like, yeah, man, it was just a movie they never made, and yeah, that was cool. It was just like a different thing for them. Because everybody, Queen was making Flash Gordon soundtrack and all that stuff back then. Okay, over the years, after I grew up, I'm here to tell you, I don't know if I believe all that hype. It's got this weird cover art here, and it follows kind of a storyline in the music. You guys leave your comments below. I kind of lean towards the other camp nowadays where I'm like, nah, I don't. I saw their costume changes back in the day, and everybody, they did the short hair routine, and right before they dropped the makeup, and everybody was experimenting. I don't know. I don't know what I believe on that one. You guys tell me what you believe. Another one kind of in the same vein, but this one this was AC/DC Who Made Who album, but this one is the Sanctified soundtrack from the movie Maximum Overdrive, directed by Stephen King, 1986. Saw this one in the theater. See, there's your film credits there. It's the official soundtrack from the Stephen King film Maximum Overdrive. Dino De Laurentiis joint. Filmed in North Kakalaki back in the day, down around Wilmington area. Yeah, it's a lot. It's like a collection of some things they prepared just for the movie, or arrangements, I should say, and then also a lot of their just hits up to that point, just kind of culminated on one. So it could stand alone as a record on its own, but it also, like if you never saw the movie, but also it's kind of a good release all in of itself. I actually got the CD over here too. I picked up the CD because used a few years back because my tapes started getting really rough. That was one of my original B.Jr. high school tapes, or junior high school tapes that just, yeah, it was beat up, so I needed to get something to preserve the tunage in there. Still like this. I mean, it's a good arrangement, good culmination of, compilation, if anything. And it's a little piece of history just for me. We'll get more into CDs in a minute. Let's finish these out. Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. I like retaining this one on tape, to be honest, because it's like a lot of his earlier films. It's just a kind of an oldies station come to life, or a living, breathing greatest hits album. Just kind of pulled in. I'm not going to go into great detail. If you've seen the movie, you know the music. But I do like the music from the film. I've always told people a lot of times, if you're torn on Quentin Tarantino films, like I've always been, if you really don't like the film or anything of that nature, I'm just saying in general, if you don't like the film, and try the soundtrack, because you might like the music from the movie. A lot of people don't like Death Proof, which I'm a fan of, but I like the movie too. The music soundtrack in that movie is great. The Crow, I love how, it's so weird how they capitalized on his passing so much, and R.I.P. Brandon Lee, this is probably his best film prior to his passing, but they slap his name on everything, even from the soundtrack to, everything back in the day. I bought this one shortly after the release of the movie. It's got some good tracks on there. The Cure, Burn is a good one that comes to mind. There's a lot of tracks on here I like, and there's a lot of tracks I couldn't care for. So it's one of those that's just kind of stuck with me. A little piece of my history. But The Crow, yeah, put that one in there. Another one from my history, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Very good 80s soundtrack. Another one where if you think 80s, you think Miami Vice, you think Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Another one in the 80s there, Good Morning Vietnam. What can I say? It's got excerpts of Robin Williams doing this comedy routine. A lot of good oldies stuff. I'm a kind of backseat oldies fan. Beverly Hills Cop. How can you not like the Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack? Another steeped in the 80s soundtrack. New Attitude. The Heat Is On. It's got the Axel F soundtrack theme from the movie. Hey, gotta have it, man. Another one, right in that same vein. All these are on cassette for some reason, yeah. Streets of Fire. Walter Hill joint, kind of the misunderstood Walter Hill film, but Very sound movie. I really enjoyed this movie, really enjoyed the soundtrack. Kind of got that 50s vibe with influence from 70s and 80s tunes. Yeah, just one of those you just kind of have to listen to. You like it or hate it. Let's get my device back over here at the tapes. Let's dig into some CDs here. We'll just grab a stack and go. Animated film from the 80s, heavy metal. I don't know if I've ever agreed that these bands are heavy for the most part, but a lot of them, this soundtrack overall is kind of like, I would just call it experimental rock. I wouldn't call it heavy metal. They had to call it that because that's obviously the it stems from the comic book origins of the film and everything. But I like the first one. Never saw the second animated film that came out with years ago, or some years later after this one. But another childhood one. This one played on cable late night, and all the kids, especially young males, were like, they have animated, but there's nudity in this, and there's cussing in this movie, and profanity, and oh Lord. But yeah, it's one of those that kind of went in the vault, and you couldn't find it on the home video market for a long time. But finally, it came on DVD, and or Blu-ray. Anyway, just a good overall rock soundtrack from the 80s. Another one you'll probably laugh at me for, but Prince and Purple Rain. Yeah, it's just one of those. Just one of those. It's got some good tunes on it. I've always I don't agree with everything the guy's ever said and done in his career, but Prince is a musical genius. I don't care what anybody says. The guy can play so many different instruments, produce so many different projects. Quentin Tarantino, Kill Bill Volume 1. Kind of an odd soundtrack. This one's got a lot of good tunes and a lot of just excerpt sounds from the movie and stuff like that. But yeah, some good music on there. It's something you could play like in the background. I wouldn't say it'd be something that I'd reach for every day, but Reservoir Dogs and an oldies soundtrack. Can't go wrong with this one. I Gotcha, Hooked on a Feeling. There's a lot of good little montage speeches from the movie too. Let's Get a Taco. Keep on trucking. Yeah. Clerks soundtrack. I bought this one when I was starting to buy CDs back in the day. Kind of hardcore. Got a lot of good stuff in the movie too. Little speech montages from Kevin Smith's directorial debut. Yeah. Chewbacca's a good little tune in this one. A lot of funny music in this movie. I always like to put that in when I need a laugh. Go. Circa 1999-2000 soundtrack, featuring music by No Doubt. A lot of kind of not your typical bands that you'd hear a lot about, but some good tracks on this one. If I like to hear something different or a compilation, really enjoy this one. Little known film too in the Tarantino vibe. Let's see, who directed that one? Doug Liman, I think, directed that film. Don't quote me on that one, but kind of told in the vein of Pulp Fiction, but for young folks, I guess you'd call it. Let's see here. Let's go through these. We've got the Rocky IV soundtrack. The movie is basically a living, breathing MTV video. Yeah, this one's kind of a weird slimline one. I don't know how that happened, but I bought this used a few years back. But yeah, you gotta like Rocky IV, man. Some Robert Rodriguez early joints here. Got Los Lobos on this one. Desperado soundtrack. Dire Straits. I love the music in this film. You got some soundtrack contributions from his name escapes me. What's wrong with you, Barry? What's wrong with you? Let's see here. This is killing me here. I'm sorry, guys. Salma Hayek does an excerpt in there. Antonio Banderas. God, where's my brain? Antonio Banderas. He plays the Canción del Mariachi there with Los Lobos. Yeah, there's some good stuff on that one, guys. I always loved that one. Bought that at a mall, State Capitol, back in the day on a little road trip weekend with a fellow military buddy. Later on, came back, did another film, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. There's some good, some good guitar riffs on this one. Good instrumental music in this one I really enjoyed. This is one of Robert Rodriguez's one of his last ones where his shoestring budget was starting to show, and he did put the time in, at least on the music and everything that he always did. A lot of his later ones that he's done now, like the sequels that he's done, like Machete Kills, they're so cheap to the point where I'm not even, I don't know. Lethal Weapon 3, this is kind of like just a handful tracks, about 10 tracks. I really bought it for the title track there, the It's Probably Me by Sting and Eric Clapton. Really enjoyed that track. Rest of it's just your run-of-the-mill music cues from the film. I really this is bought for $1 back in the day, but enjoyed that title track very much. Here's a good one you don't see every day. This is the music from the motion picture Heat, Michael Mann film. My fellow Sausage Factory brethren, Pizel might, he's a big Heat fan, such as myself, and Michael Mann film fan. You might appreciate this one. It's got the Moby tune from the middle of the film where it's kind of a standout tune, New Dawn Fades, I believe it is. It was also reused recently in The Equalizer with Denzel Washington a couple times in that film. There's a lot of good tracks on this one as far as instrumental. Then there's a lot of them that's kind of unlike what I was saying before, where I kind of find myself jumping to tracks on this one. There's about 5 out of the 15 or 20 tracks that are on here that really stand out that I find myself going to. As far as a listening soundtrack, it's kind of hit or miss. But in the movie, it really works for the tone of the film. So, Heat soundtrack. Here, oh man, this is a really good one. If you like Westerns. I forget where I picked this one up. I picked this one up circa early 2000s sometime, or mid 2000s. Once Upon a Time in the West. Hands down, probably one of the top 3 Sergio Leone films ever made. This is one of those that you can put in, and it really, you think about every cue in the movie where this comes from, because it's kind of character driven. The music is kind of set for that piece, the action piece in the film that you're watching, and or that particular character that it surrounds. Like Peter Fonda's character in this film, you'll know his tracks right away because it's evil sounding, kind of steel guitar riffs and stuff like that. To be as old as that movie, I mean, it's 1968, 1969 when this came out. Written by Dario Argento. Horror film fans will know who that is. One of his first influences in cinema before he started making his own movies. He wrote this film, Sergio Leone directed it. Big epic scale film. Charles Bronson, Peter Fonda, as I said before, Claudia Cardinal, the list goes on. Orchestral conducted music by Ennio Morricone in this one. So, Paramount Pictures film. Yeah, really, that's one of those I can listen to any day of the week. Conversation piece here. This is Queen album, Kind of Magic. But what it does is it pulls in some of their sound. It's all soundtrack music pretty much from either Highlander, Iron Eagle. The one where the kid straps the tape player to his leg and goes and rescues his father in a stolen Air Force F-16. Yeah, okay. Pretty much these are just excerpts from those movies. Kind of pulled under one little album title. I don't know. It doesn't give any direct licensing, or it's kind of like a 20 years thing here where they pulled in a lot of those tracks all in one thing. Let's look at the liner notes. I don't want to dwell too much on it. I think it does talk about it at least and give lyrics in here, but it doesn't give any direct, kind of licensing to the films themselves. But that's where the music's from. I mean, it's kind of like the Highlander soundtrack and or Iron Eagle soundtrack for the most part there. Anyway, so I'd throw that one in there. Walter Hill joint, another dollar purchase from back in the day. Trespass music by Ry Cooder, however you say his name. I like his music, and Walter Hill has this weird thing where on a good number of his films, he would contract mostly well-known soundtrack guys to do a full soundtrack for his movie. Then at the last minute, 0 hour, would dump them, fire them, pay them, get them out of there, and then hire Ry Cooder to come in and do his own version of the soundtrack. So a lot of his late 80s, 90s films especially had his, even 80s and 90s films, they had Rycooter soundtracks for that reason. Really weird how that happened, but just the way he did it. I threw this one in for good measure. This is 40 years of James Bond. It's 20 themes up to Die Another Day. Going all the way back from Dr. No all the way up. I'm a big backseat James Bond film fan, especially in the fall time of the year, or post Halloween time frame. That's what I usually dive into is James Bond films and Chuck Norris films. So, but yeah, good one there. It's got all those themes that you know from those movies. These are some of the newer ones I picked up recently. I'm just not going to spend a great deal of time. Lost Boys. These have been in recent videos, so I'm not going to bore you guys. This one's got all the great steeped in the 80s stuff here. Cry Little Sister, I Still Believe. And yes, I Still Believe. Sorry, guys. Animal House, this one checked out. This one was interesting. Something I can plug while I'm doing this after listening to it a good few times now. Two of the tracks, the Louie Louie and Money, That's What I Want, are sung by Animal House alumni, R.I.P. John Belushi, not by the original artist. Now, Louie Louie, I don't care for his rendition. I can listen to it, but I like the original version better. Money, That's What I Want, you could have told me it was him or the original artist. I couldn't tell. But that's the only two deviations from the original soundtrack or the music that's in the movie. Everything else is there. Otis Day and the Knights are still singing Shamalama Ding Dong and the shout there. And it's got some good inserts from the speech moments from the movie kind of mixed in at the right moments. So, yeah. Gotta love Animal House, guys. Good John Landis joint. The Warriors checks out. This is one of those re-releases I picked up recently, and it sounds great. It's remastered. It sounds like it's remastered. I don't know for sure if it is, but it sounds great. Gave it a bunch of spins in the car, driving around and here at the house. So if you're a Warriors fan, got to pick that one up. Another one of these tie-in CDs. This one checked out. It's got good 80s cheese, as I've been told in a lot of my comments. I do like a lot of the tracks in between the two that were from Friday the 13th Part 6. The Man Behind the Mask and Teenage Frankenstein, respectively, from that movie. I did find out, thank you guys for leaving a lot of great comments from a lot of devoted viewers of the videos here recently, that Hard Rock Summer, that was in that movie as well, was an unreleased track. I did not know this, guys, but yeah. Gotta say, thanks for all the intel on that one, guys. It's been fun to spin, though. And I don't know, like I said, Alice Cooper's not my favorite artist, but I do like having some of his in my collection. This is a recent pickup. This one checks out. I wish they would have done some remastering on this one. It sounds good, but it sounds like an original pressing. You know how that goes. You take the good with the bad, you just turn it up a little bit louder, tune it out, get your equalizer going. You might be able to. I tuned it out and it sounds great now, but you have to do a little bit more work on it. You can't just pop it in, and it's just going to sound a little bit muffled around the edges, but that's only because I've been listening to a lot of soundtracks here lately. I wouldn't normally gripe about such a thing, but yeah, 9 tracks in the movie. Sammy Kerr, brought to you by Fastway, Trick or Treat soundtrack. Please, 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 movie studios, movie releasing companies, get the rights. It's a rights issue to the music. Get the rights to the music. It will pay off in the long run. What I would do with this film, I would even re-release it on Scream Factory, Shout Factory, Blue Underground, somebody like that, Synapse Films. Release the soundtrack, a special edition remastered soundtrack CD with the movie on Blu-ray. You will rake in the cash. Horror fans will come from every direction and buy that. Escape from New York, this is the recent pickup in the new expanded edition. New to me anyway. It's come out a couple years back, but glad I bought this edition because it's got some unreleased tracks on there, like the bank robbery scene from the movie that's on the special edition DVD, 2-disc DVD. I'm not sure if it's on the new Blu-ray that came out from Scream Factory. It probably is. But it was the scene that John Carpenter cut from the film. It had its own music, apparently, and I don't know, you know how they do. They might have just created this, but the music for that scene, the bank robbery track 2 there, is awesome. I mean, it's great, just like you would think it would be from Carpenter. There's also this unreleased track here called Snake Shake, which is the original intended end credits scene. You know, after he tears up the tape and kind of ends on that weird note that a lot of his films ended on. It was supposed to go into this kind of upbeat Snake Shape, which is a great track, and I've listened to it a bunch. And it really kind of is a good tune for Snake Plissken himself. But if they'd have put that in there, I agree. They just did a reprise of the original title credits. If they would have put that in there, it would have taken you out of the film and just kind of ended on a bad note. It wouldn't have worked right. So, yeah, I mean, this has got everything from the film and more. Really great release. If you love that movie, pick that one up. In closing, from the same, from AHI, Alan Horwath Incorporated there, Halloween 3. Now, I was just listening to this one the other day, and I'm going to put it away for now until October 1st. If you want a soundtrack that will put you in the mood, or if you just want to put something on in the background, put you in the mood for Halloween, I should say, Halloween season, and or just kind of put it on in the background on Halloween day and not just kind of have on the porch, set the mood, or at your party or whatever you're having or get together for Halloween. This is the one you want to reach for. I know it gets a lot of flack as a movie, but as a soundtrack, this one will put you in the mood. I'm willing about 99% sure it will do the trick, so I'm not going to delve too much on that, but there you go, guys. That's soundtrack goodness for you. I just got to say, hey, thanks for watching. It's been a long video, but it's comprehensive, and I'm sure there'll probably be more soundtracks coming because that's kind of my forte nowadays. Movie releases have kind of dried up, except for minuscule new stuff that's coming out, so try to stay on top of that as it comes in. But soundtracks have been kind of my forte here lately. Rock on, dudes. Do your own videos. Put them out there. I'd love to see your collections and or see your comments below. Rock on, dudes. Bye.